Hello, this is Kassie and these are the weekly tarot horoscopes for the week of October 4 to October 10. Today we'll be using the Hieronymus Bosch tarot deck, which is a very complex deck with heavy symbolism. I would not recommend it to people who are just starting to learn tarot because it might feel a little overwhelming or too difficult to read. So it's best that you stick to a simpler deck. It remains a very nice deck though, with nice images. If you feel drawn to it, go ahead and get it. Now I always examine the current energies, taking into account the energies of last week too. So I always make a reference to the card I got last week for your sign. And in that way, you can see how energies shift and change from one week to another. Starting with Aries, this week we have the Magician, and it means that this week will be all about yourself, as the Magician is the card of the self, and so is Aries as a sign. For example, you may have to stand up for yourself, to defend yourself, or to make yourself a priority one way or another. But I suspect that since last week you had the Hierophant, which is a more traditional approach to things, an approach that can be rather limiting at times, this week you will feel that you want to try new things, as the Magician is a card of new beginnings. And you will actually feel that you have everything you need at your disposal. You will feel very confident about what you want to achieve. And since the Hierophant is associated with documents and official approvals, you may get a kind of license to create something this week. And that could be again literally or metaphorically. So maybe last week you were dealing with the practicalities of a situation, but now you get a license, you get the okay that you are going ahead with the creative aspects of something. The Magician often represents a male in your life, and the energy of this person says that he's doing something that has become like a pattern, and that's usually to appear and disappear like a stage magician. And that could be frustrating for you because at the end of the day you cannot trust them, and it's very hard to control them too, because they always find ways to get away with things. Now you would ask what you can do about it. What you can actually do about it is to mirror this energy, to pay them with the same coin, so to speak, because they expect a certain reaction from you. But if you don't give them the reaction they expect, that will confuse them. So try that and see what happens, and if that changes the dynamics a little. Also, this week you may have an increased interest for all magical things, and that could be divination, stones, crystals, herbs, and you will start to explore all those things, or even new ways of connecting with spirit, new ways of exploring spirituality. For you Taurus, we have the Star. Last week you had the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Swords granted you clarity of thought, and a situation that was confusing or uncertain became clear. And this week you will use the knowledge you gain in order to put things into perspective, because the Star is the card of future. So what you learned last week will help you to set a future goal this week, using or being inspired by that knowledge. So it's a kind of revelation, a positive energy, and the Star suggests there will be guidance. That could be guidance from another person, or it could be spiritual guidance. So it's good that you look for signs, as the universe is always speaking to you through signs, and life is always giving you messages. for you to follow, and gives you indications and shows you whether you are or you are not on the right path. Those signs may come from other people or other means, spiritual means like dreams or intuition. And another thing that you need to keep in mind is that this energy is future oriented. So it's good to make plans, long-term plans in relationships or career, and start moving towards those goals. The star is about things that are meant to be. So this week you may get the first taste of the energies that are about to manifest in the coming months, and you may feel drawn toward a certain path. It's something that may even feel karmic in some cases. You may feel drawn to a certain person, which could have this karmic pull that no matter what you do, you always return to that path one way or another. The important thing to know, to keep in mind, is that the star is always distant, like the stars in the sky. And distance is in time, basically, not so much physical distance. And the message here is that no matter what you decide to do, it will probably take some time, several stages, so don't expect things to happen in a matter of days or even weeks. It will probably take much more than that, and you need to be patient and proactive. For you, Gemini, we have the World. The World speaks about completion, about the end of a stage, the end of a project or journey, and it tells you that that's as far as a situation can go. Even if you tried to stretch it or drag it out, you won't get different results at this stage, as that's as far as it could go. That's the best outcome you could get at the moment. And there will be a deep realization about that. Last week you had the Nine of Pentacles, a very strong Earth card, and now you got another Earth card, so you are still under the same energy, the strong Earth energy that's very helpful when you want to manifest things in real life, on the physical plane, when you want to make things happen, and the nines too are the final stages. So since last week you were heading towards this point, and now the message is that if you have to let go of something, if you have to acknowledge, to accept an ending, it's important to do so because that ending will trigger a new beginning. And I know that sometimes we feel reluctant to accept that something has run its course, and we're trying to prolong it, to drag it out. But in this case, you might just waste your time trying to postpone something that's already due. Also, you may hear from someone who's in a different country, or you may have news about traveling. For instance, an unexpected trip may happen, or someone will come unexpectedly to surprise you. In around 3 weeks, 21 days from now, approximately, a very significant event will happen that will mark the beginning of a new cycle of events, which in turn will be completed in around 3 weeks. So look around the time of the full moon this month, because there will probably be some very interesting energies that will play out around that time. For Cancer, we have the Lovers. Relationships and love will be in your focus this week, and you will probably have to make a decision about a relationship, to go ahead with it or not, or you may have to decide between two different persons, or you may be one of the two persons that another will have to decide who to choose. Last week you had the Strength, and with the Strength there's a lot of patience and perseverance and persistence, but there's also a lot of holding back. So things were much more reserved last week. You were more guarded maybe, more patient perhaps too, but also more determined. Now under this energy, you may feel that what might have felt certain last week, this week you will feel a little more indecisive. And you may even find yourself to have a tendency that you don't really want to decide, and maybe you are wishing for a higher force to make that decision for you. That means you will have a sense that a particular situation is predetermined, predestined, because karmic matters, karmic issues, karmic debts even, are very strong under the energy of the lovers. So you may be thinking that someone is your soulmate, for instance, and that you are meant to be, yet things are not exactly a rose garden. It's not exactly the perfect relationship. There are many ups and downs and difficulties, much indecisiveness, but there are strong feelings too. In any case, this will be a very significant week when it comes to how you feel about someone and how you express your feelings, but also what role you will decide to play in a relationship, because your decision now will be very crucial and will determine the future of this relationship. The Death card came up for Leo. The Death is a deep change, but not so much an unexpected change. It's something that you probably have seen coming, a change that you know would happen, and maybe you fear it a little because there is fear of the unknown with the death, but you know that can be avoided. So this week there will be an event, something you know for a while now that it's going to happen, and maybe you are trying to avoid it, to run away from it, especially since last week you had the Six of Pentacles, which is an agreement, a mutually beneficial deal, and you must have found some balance with something or someone, and for a while things appeared to be solid and stable, and you thought that the stability would last for a long time. But unfortunately, life never lets us rest for too long. So now there will be a new element this week that can be a little disruptive, but at the same time, this element is something transformative. So whatever happens, either it's an event or a communication or the appearance or disappearance of something or someone, you will see that it transforms a situation in such a way that it will push you to be transformed as well. So on the one hand, you have this energy that can be a little scary, this change that you are not very prepared or willing to embrace and accept. On the other hand, if you think about it very honestly and openly, you will admit that there's a certain point in your life, a certain situation where you feel stuck, and what prevents you from making a change, an adjustment that would change the dynamics too, is basically your fear, your insecurity that things may not be exactly as you wish them to be. A Scorpio person may play a significant role in your life this week, while between 23 October to 21 November is probably when there will be a culmination of the current events and energies. For Virgo, we have the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords brings clarity. It represents a moment when something finally makes sense, something that you could not see before, but you can see it now very clearly, and that knowledge will allow you to actually find a new way of seeing, a new way of looking at things, and communications will be very intense this week too. You will be able to express what you think very clearly. So if someone has been confused by your words before, now this week you will see that you will leave no room for doubts or uncertainty or misunderstandings. So that's a very good week if you are thinking about having a talk. And that could be about a relationship or a talk involving professional matters. For example, it could be an interview. This week will be very beneficial for you for interviews. Last week you had the Three of Wands, and the Three of Wands is very future-oriented. It's a card about making plans for the future, or you are seeing the results of your efforts or your actions. You made some moves that must have produced some very good results. Now it's about how to communicate those thoughts that you had, how to communicate your ideas. The Ace of Swords can be a little disruptive at times, but that's not something you should fear, because sometimes we do need to remove certain elements from our reality. We do need to remove certain energies so that we go ahead with things. I would not be surprised if under this energy you decided to remove yourself from a situation that's holding you back, or to cut someone off, and in that way you will make room for something new and better to appear and take its place. For Libra, we have the Ace of Cups. Like all aces, we are looking at a new energy here, a fresh energy that will come into your life in the form of a new beginning and opportunity. And the Ace of Cups is basically a relief. Something will happen and you will feel as if a load, a burden has been lifted off your shoulders. And that will have to do primarily with personal relationships, romantic relationships, love, because the Ace of Cups is a love card and it's water energy, emotional energy. So you may get a message of love, a message that you might have been expecting for a while, because keep in mind that this ace is a water card and water is slow, it's a passive element. And it may be that you will decide that you are now ready to make a new beginning with someone, or someone else will feel ready to take a relationship to the next stage. One thing you should be cautious about is that this card is at times associated with water problems, literally, a leak for instance, and also with water in your body. Make sure you keep yourself hydrated, your skin, your body, and everything, and also remember that everything that's near water is favored. For instance, if you're thinking of buying or renting property near water, it will be a good choice, a good investment to give you an idea of how things might play out. But basically the Ace of Cups is a sigh of relief after news you will receive, and instantly, and I'm saying instantly because the energy of aces is very fast, almost instant, and instantly you will feel pressure fading away. Especially since last week you had the moon, and the moon is very intense emotional energy that can get you very confused emotionally. But now you will feel that you can breathe again and things are finally getting better, getting clear. For Scorpio, we have the Sun. The energy of the Sun does a number of things, and one of those things is that this energy makes things very clear. Nothing hidden under the sun, like they say. So I would not be surprised if someone told you a secret, or you told someone a secret, and there will be some sort of revelation, and then you will see that the situation takes a different course and a different flavor, and is transformed one way or another. This will be a week of very good vibes. All activities involving fun, connection, and children are favored. So if you are planning to do something with young people or your children, this will be a week to do so. Or if you are planning to meet friends or to have a party, a celebration, and in love too, there will be positive energies. The Sun means that sexuality will be strong this week, and you may even be able to resolve issues that have to do with sexuality or pregnancy, or things that are related to such matters are very connected to the Sun, because the Sun is a life-giving force. Also, matters connected to life and how to preserve it will be very prominent this week. And if you see the Sun in this deck features two very different persons, opposites. And the message here, I feel, is that every energy, every difference is acceptable under the Sun. The message is that if there's a concern about you or another person and your differences, or differences that make a situation very confusing and very complicated, the energy of the Sun, the vibe that you will feel in your body this week, will help you see this difference, this contrast, this incompatibility maybe, under a different light, and that will shift your perspective, will make you see things that you were not able to see before. You had a nice card last week too. It was the Six of Cups, it was emotional connection, but now it appears that with the Sun, this energy is amplified, so there's a culmination, let's say, in a matter that will make you feel good about what's going on. For Sagittarius, the card is the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is about what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Other aces, like the Ace of Cups for instance, is about how you want to feel, how you want to reach emotional fulfillment. But the Ace of Wands is about what action you want to take, and through that action you will start manifesting your potential. The Ace of Wands is the first stages of a project, and that could involve a relationship to any type of project. And you will find yourself perhaps trying different things, different methods to bring that project or relationship to fruition, get it to a stage that you want. Now, one thing you need to be aware of when it comes to aces is that aces show potential. It's basically as if an ace is saying that yes, you do have potential to do this or that, but the message they give is also that there are many stages between now and your end goal, and at times you may feel a little stuck at a particular stage, especially if you don't do what the energy of each ace is urging you to do. So now with this ace, let's say that you want a relationship to go ahead. What you need to do under this energy is to take action, not just to wish it or dream about it. You need to put action behind your intention, because intention is the first stage when an idea or a desire is being formed, but in order to bring it into reality, you can't do it without taking action. And that's basically the meaning of this ace. It's a motivation, it's a spark that if you feed it, if you nurture it, it will become something much stronger. It will take shape. Last week you had the Empress, and that's a very strong earth card, and this person that represents, if it was a person for you and not an energy, and you will know if it was a person, might have given you an idea that you are now taking and putting it to practice or into action in some way, and I expect that this guide or person will have your back in what you are trying to do. It's clear that you have an ally, someone who's willing to participate in your plans and motivate, inspire you, and show you the way. For Capricorn, we have the Knight of Cups. Emotional connections will be strong this week. You will feel that you're in love, or another will fall in love with you. They will make a gesture, a move, because knights are always on a quest. They want to accomplish something, and they are cards of action. All knights, even the slow and passive ones, like the Knight of Cups in this case, no matter how passive they are, they do take action. So expect some developments to happen this week. I expect something good on the love front. Someone will make a move to you to show you that they have feelings for you, or someone's expecting a move from you for you to reciprocate their feelings. It's possible that this person is a water sign, Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces, which means they can be a little volatile because water signs experience emotional ups and downs more easily than other signs. So you may have some emotional ups and downs too with someone, especially if this person is a little unstable with their feelings and how they deal with an emotional situation. So one day they feel one way, and that's reflected on their actions and how they treat you. And then another day, another way, and so on and so forth. And last week you had the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is the stage of attraction. It's the stage when one feels very drawn to another person. While the King of Cups is when deeper feelings start to develop. Also, the Knight of Cups often broods over things, and that's why your moods may be affected a little. For example, when something happens, you may magnify it on your mind, and that will affect your feelings too. The Knight of Cups brings fantasies, daydreaming, so you may find yourself being in a dreamy mood this week. The Knight of Cups is also a helper, so don't be surprised if when you least expect it, someone will come to help you, or this energy may work the other way around and you will have to help someone. For Aquarius, we have the Hierophant, and it's interesting that last week you had the Devil card, which is actually a completely different energy, and there's a big contrast between the Devil and the Hierophant. It's like left and right, light and darkness. And this week you will feel that you want to do the right thing. You want to put things in order, especially things that have been chaotic last week. And if that made you feel uncomfortable, this week you will try to function within certain standards and rules, while before you must have felt in a more spontaneous mood, more open and willing to experience pleasures. But now things are getting more serious this week, and when it comes to relationships, for instance, last week the sexual element must have been more prominent, but now there's a tendency and a desire to make things more official, more structured in some way. And both the Devil and the Hierophant are earth cards, so we are talking about the physical realm, material things, material concerns. You will want to stay within societal standards, while last week under the Devil's influence you wouldn't hesitate to be more unconventional. We have here a devil-angel kind of polarity, and maybe your thoughts will be like that too. So you may feel like a little devil is whispering in your ear, do this or do that. And the next moment you feel that the angel is trying to hold you back, to tell you don't do that, don't cause problems, be good, be nice, this kind of thing. And this energy might manifest in a number of ways in your personal or professional relationships. But overall, you should expect that you will feel more structured with a desire to put things in the right order. The Hierophant often suggests that a teacher or a mentor will appear, someone that with their knowledge or position will give you guidance and will help you achieve a certain goal. For Pisces, we have the Page of Swords. From the Sun last week, this week you will start seeing a situation differently. You will have profound thoughts, very fast thoughts. Your thought processes will be very active, very intense, and your communications too. You will communicate very clearly, and for that reason, someone may not like what you have to say, because you will be very straightforward. And you may come across as too harsh or mean. Some may feel that you are being mean even. There will be a tendency to lose your temper, especially if you feel that you are dealing with stupidity or stubbornness, because your thought process and your mental faculties and functions are very flexible now, and you are able to see things from very different angles. And others may not be able to follow such a rapid pace when it comes to thinking. So you may lose your temper with someone and have an argument. Last week you had the Sun and something was made clear. It was a very good energy. This week you will do some research on something that you learned last week, or a realization that you had last week. And you will try to see what you can get from that realization and what kind of action to take based on that knowledge. It's important that you think before you talk, as there's a high risk that your words will be misunderstood, or someone will use them against you to talk and gossip behind your back. And make sure that you double check every information you get and who you share that information with. There might be a younger person in your circle or at work that you may find it difficult to get along, and in that case, if you can, it's best that you keep them at an arm's length and let someone else deal with them if possible. Also, it's very possible that you will find out that someone is watching your social media, trying to figure out what you are up to. Since pages represent the initial stages of something, it's very possible that there's someone who wants to get to know you a little better before they decide whether they want to form a stronger emotional bond with you or not. So these were the tarot horoscopes for the week of October 4 to October 10. And what I'd like to add is that in this week's spread, we had 3 aces and a page, and all 4 cards are cards of fresh energy and new beginnings. And that means we all start feeling a shift this week. And the astrology of these days says that the planets start moving forward again from their retrograde phases. We should all expect that things that were stuck will start speeding up now. So we need to remain open and receptive to the new energies, and don't rush things before we figure out what those new energies are all about. This could be a week of observation to get a taste of what is to come in the following weeks. I hope you enjoyed this week's tarot horoscopes, and I will see you next week.